Hello and welcome to the show that's dumber than a law that says you can't name your pig Napoleon. That's right. Today on Top 10, we're diving headfirst into the wacky world of weird laws. You won't believe some of these bizarre regulations that are still in effect today. From chewing gum bans to suspicious salmon handling, we've got it all. We're talking laws so ridiculous they make you wonder if lawmakers around the world are secretly competing in a whose law is weirdest contest. And frankly, after seeing this list, I think we have a clear winner. So buckle up, get ready to question everything you thought you knew about the legal system, and maybe, just maybe, avoid an international incident involving a rogue salmon and a pair of noisy shoes. Kicking off our list at number 10, we're heading to the beautiful islands of Samoa, a place that's so idyllic it had to have at least one deeply strange law. It's illegal to forget your wife's birthday. I know, you're thinking, John, this isn't that weird. I'd never forget my wife's birthday. And to you I say, good for you. You're clearly a better spouse than I am. But this law isn't about you, it's about the poor birthday-forgetting souls in Samoa who are out there right now facing the legal consequences of their actions. And what are those consequences, you ask? Well, they're surprisingly unclear. Maybe it's a strongly worded letter from the Samoan government. Maybe it's community service in the form of a romantic picnic basket assembly line. We don't know. But whatever it is, it's enough to make forgetting a birthday a legally punishable offense. So, to any husbands living in Samoa and watching this right now, I urge you, set a reminder, get a tattoo, hire a skywriter. Do whatever it takes to remember that special day, because in Samoa, forgetting your anniversary isn't just bad for your relationship, it's bad for your criminal record. Next up at number 9, we're traveling to Switzerland, the land of chocolate, cheese, watches, and apparently really strict bathroom regulations. That's right. In Switzerland, it is illegal to flush the toilet after 10 p.m. in an apartment building. You heard me right? After 10 p.m., your toilet becomes a ticking time bomb of societal disruption. Now, the Swiss, being famously reasonable people, probably have a perfectly logical explanation for this. Maybe late-night flushing disrupts the delicate ecosystem of the Swiss sewer system. Maybe it's a noise pollution thing. But regardless of the reasoning, this law begs the question, what are you supposed to do if nature calls after the clock strikes 10? Do you just hold it in until morning? Do you keep a designated post-10 p.m. bucket handy? These are questions that keep me up at night, and frankly, they should keep you up too. So next time you're enjoying a delicious Swiss chocolate, remember that chocolate could come back to haunt you. And if it does, you better hope it's before 10 p.m. Coming in at number 8, we're heading to Singapore, a place so clean, so orderly, so undeniably efficient that they've outlawed chewing gum. Yes, you heard that right. In Singapore, chewing gum is strictly prohibited. Now, I understand the logic here. Chewing gum can be messy. It ends up stuck under tables, on sidewalks, in your hair. It's a menace. But a whole law banning it? That feels a bit extreme. Imagine being a teenager in Singapore, sneaking a stick of gum in class, only to be whisked away by the gum police. It's like something out of a dystopian novel where Big Mint controls everything. But hey, maybe this is the secret to Singapore's success. Maybe if we all just gave up chewing gum, the world would be a more perfect place. Or maybe, just maybe, we can enjoy our gum responsibly and not turn into a sticky, lawless wasteland. Just a thought, Singapore. Chapter 4, Silent but Deadly Footwear in Italy. At number 7, we're heading to Italy, the land of pasta, pizza, and apparently a deep-seated hatred for noisy shoes. That's right, in Italy, specifically in the picturesque island of Capri, it's illegal to wear noisy footwear. Now I get it, nobody likes a clacker. But a law against it, what qualifies as noisy anyway? Is it a subjective thing? Do they have a decibel meter for footwear? These are important questions. Imagine packing your bags for a romantic Italian getaway only to be stopped at the border because your sandals are deemed too lively for the cobblestone streets. The horror. So if you're planning a trip to Italy, maybe pack some noise-cancelling slippers just to be safe. You don't want to be caught on the wrong side of the law, especially when the law is specifically designed to protect the peace and quiet of a tiny island. Chapter 5, Canada, where bandages are best kept under wraps. Coming in at number 6, we're heading to Canada, the land of maple syrup politeness and apparently a deep-seated fear of bandages. That's right, in Canada it's illegal to remove a bandage in public. Now, I'm not sure what kind of bandage-related trauma led to this law being enacted, but it's certainly a choice. Maybe they're concerned about the spread of germs, or maybe they just really value privacy when it comes to wound care. Whatever the reason, this law raises more questions than it answers. What constitutes public? Is it just out in the open, or does it include, say, a crowded restaurant? And what if you have a particularly nasty paper cut that requires frequent bandage changes? Do you just become a social pariah, forever banished to the shadows with your exposed wounds? The world may never know, but one thing's for sure. If you're in Canada and you need to change a bandage, you better find a private bathroom and quick. Chapter 6, don't get caught red-handed with salmon in the UK. Holding steady at number 5, we're across the pond to the UK, where it's not just the weather that's unpredictable, it's the laws too. In the UK, it's illegal to handle a salmon in suspicious circumstances. Now, I know what you're thinking. What the bloody hell does handling a salmon in suspicious circumstances even mean? And to that I say you and me both. Is it the way you're holding it, the look in your eye? The fact that you're wearing a trench coat and fedora in the middle of the day while lurking around a fish market? The law is so vague it's practically begging for mischief. I can just imagine the courtroom drama. Your Honour, my client was merely admiring the salmon's scales. He had no intention of engaging in any fishy business. So if you ever find yourself in the UK with a salmon in hand, just make sure you look as innocent as possible. And maybe avoid eye contact with any nearby police officers. You know, just to be safe. Chapter 7, coming in hot at number 4, we're down under to Australia, where everything wants to kill you, and apparently so does the law if you're dressed like Batman. That's right. In Australia, it's illegal to dress up as Batman and Robin. Now, you might think this is just Australia being Australia, but there's actually a reason behind this seemingly ridiculous law. Apparently it's meant to prevent people from impersonating law enforcement officers. Because, you know, the sight of 2 grown men running around in tights and capes just screams authority figures. But still, it's a shame. Imagine how much more exciting crime fighting would be if Batman and Robin were allowed to roam free in Australia. They could team up with kangaroos, fight criminals on top of the Sydney Opera House, and maybe even have a barbecue with the Prime Minister. Alas, it's not meant to be. So, if you're planning on fighting crime in Australia, you better leave the capes and cowls at home, unless, of course, you want to risk the wrath of the Australian justice system. And trust me, you don't want to mess with those guys. Chapter 8. Step carefully in Thailand. Your wallet depends on it. At number 3, we're heading to Thailand, where you better watch your step because it's illegal to step on money. And no, I'm not talking about some weird financial metaphor. I mean literally stepping on money. Why? Well, in Thailand, the currency bears the image of the king, and stepping on it is considered disrespectful. Which, fair enough, I wouldn't want anyone stepping on a picture of Queen Elizabeth II either. But this law does present some logistical challenges. What if you drop a coin on the ground? Do you have to awkwardly contort your body to pick it up without stepping on it? Do they have special money-picking up tools? And what about tourists who might not be aware of this law? Do they just get a free pass? Or are they subject to public shaming and a stern talking to by the Thai equivalent of the fun police? These are questions that plague my very existence. But one thing's for sure, if you're ever in Thailand, try to avoid dropping your baht. Unless, of course, you're really good at yoga. Chapter 9. France says non to pig Napoleons. Coming in at number 2, we're off to the land of love, baguettes, and a surprising amount of regulation when it comes to naming your livestock. That's right, in France it's illegal to name a pig Napoleon. Now I know what you're thinking. Finally! A weird law I can get behind, and I get it. It's a ridiculous law, but it also raises some important questions. Like, who was naming so many pigs after Napoleon that it warranted a law? Was there a surge in Napoleonic-era pig obsession? Did a group of rogue pig farmers form a secret society dedicated to honouring the emperor through the medium of livestock nomenclature? The world may never know. But one thing's for sure, if you ever find yourself in France with a piglet you're particularly fond of, maybe just call him Jean-Claude. It's probably for the best. Chapter 10, Japan, where size does matter, legally speaking. And finally, our number 1 weirdest law takes us to Japan, the land of the rising sun, technological innovation, and apparently some very strict guidelines on body mass index. That's right, in Japan it's illegal to be overweight. Now, I know what you're thinking, John, that's not funny. That's a serious issue, and you're right, it is. But the way Japan has gone about addressing it is, well, let's just say it's unique. They've implemented something called the Metabo Law, which essentially sets waistline limits for its citizens. If you exceed the limits, you're subject to mandatory dieting guidance and health counseling. Now, I'm all for promoting healthy lifestyles, but this just seems a tad invasive. Imagine going to the doctor for a checkup and being told, your cholesterol levels are fine, but your waistline is a national crisis. It's enough to make you want to reach for a second helping of, well, anything really, but just remember, if you're in Japan, that extra serving of ramen might just land you in hot water with the Metabo police. That's all, folks. And there you have it, the top 10 weirdest laws in the world. We've traveled the globe from the tropical islands of Samoa to the bustling streets of Tokyo, and along the way we've encountered some truly bizarre legislation. Which one surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. Was it the Samoan birthday law, the Swiss toilet curfew, or the French pig naming prohibition? Or maybe you have a weird law from your own country that you think deserves a spot on the list. Either way, we want to hear from you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting content. And remember, always read the fine print, especially if you're handling salmon in the UK.